I want to start by saying I absolutely despise what he is doing. I believe it to be the vilest, most disgusting form of generating income. I've repeatedly told him that, and we even grew distant because of his hobby. It sucks, honestly. We used to be close in college. I come from a religious family, and I just could not tolerate his behavior. When he came to me, I reckon it had been years since we last talked. I recognized him immediately. I wish I hadn't. I could have just slammed the door into his face. He would have understood, but that's not me. Sadly. It was a Saturday night, almost 10 p.m., and I had just put the kids to sleep. My doorbell rang. It was peculiar. The empty house, my wife gone on a work trip to Wisconsin, the lights almost off, and a ringing echoes through the house. I stared at the long, dark hallway that led to the front door, playing out every horror movie scenario in my mind. Finally, I asked who it was, and his raspy voice responded, "Dan, it's me, Theo Partridge." "Theo, what do you want? It's late, you know." "I just really need your help. You could have called." I looked through the peephole. There he was, alone, and he looked unsettled. I figured his work had finally caught up to him, and he had had enough. He had probably seen something chilling, and he had decided to quit. He'd come to me to get help in finding a job. I opened the door. Theodore thanked me and came in. He shook my hand and told me to lock the door really well and turn off the porch light. "As you wish." I followed him to the kitchen. How strange of him to enter so confidently, so eager in my own house, and lead me to my own kitchen. He sat down and stared at me, blankly, not knowing how to begin. "Would you like some tea? I guess I could make some, since I can't go to sleep now." "Your wife home?" he asked, hushed. "No." "Kids?" "Asleep, Theo, and they're fine, thanks for asking." "Good. I'm really happy for you, Dan." He sounded so out of breath. Now that I think, I hadn't seen his car in the driveway. I wondered how he had got to my house. I lived in the suburbs, pretty far, close to the edge of the city. "Look, I really need to speak to you on a matter, and I trust you, Dan. I know we've fallen out, but I want you to know that I've always looked up to you and respected you. I have always trusted you, and I know you're a good man." I sighed. "All right, makes sense now. He wants to fucking borrow money." "You want money, Theo? Is that what you're after? The gold digger job, literally Thalwath, does not suit you anymore? You couldn't get promoted?" I narrowed my eyes. "Please don't tell me you're in debt. Did anyone follow you here? Is that why you told me to lock the door really well?" Theodore looked away and my heart sank. "No fucking way, get out, Theo, I have kids. No!" I took his arm and meant to pull him to the door. He remained, however, unmoved, still as a stone, looking out the window. "Dan, get out, please. Dan, listen, I don't owe money. I just want advice and a bit of moral, spiritual help." Sorry? Theo had come to me for spiritual help? Damn, he needed to see something really shocking out there to get like this. I put the kettle on the stove. "What now, Theo? You saw a ghost." He hesitated. A long pause followed. "Dan, can a person have two souls?" The water started boiling, so I turned off the stove and poured it into 2 cups. "What on earth do you mean?" "I mean, is it possible for 2 souls to be inside a body?" I put the tea bags into the cups. "For fuck's sake, Theo. No, in this economy? I'm not joking. Is this related to your job?" "Yeah." "Then don't make it gross." He followed me with his eyes as I took a jar of honey and poured a bit into the cups with a spoon. "Dan, I have never touched a dead man." Well, that was weird to hear. "Then how do you do it?" "Yeah, well, I do steal, but not jewelry. Or clothes. My work is far more complicated. Finer, I'd say. Meticulous, intricate, harder." "Are you here to recruit or what? Get to the point and drink your tea." Yeah, what I do, at least how I'd put it, I don't exactly steal, I perform. I'm not gonna lie, he had lost me there. I told him that. "You lost me there," I said, another sigh. "You religious, right? So you believe in this stuff, demons, angels, all that crap. And at least have a sense of the laws in the universe? Well, one of them is, and I really looked into it, it's that a demon cannot enter you or do anything to you, anything major, if you do not consent. I mean, that's what half the thing is about. The fight between good and evil. Do you give in to temptation or not? You know all that. The choice is yours, blah, blah, blah. Stay true to good and reject evil. Are you possessed? No, Dan, I assure you, you are not in danger. You're safe. Now let me get to point 2. Another thing about demons is that they look for souls. A demon's purpose is to catch them. The more, the merrier. That's when he finally looked up at me. Did he want to make me sell my soul or what? I could not, for the life of me, make out what the hell he wanted. He continued slower, as if he was talking to some child or animal that needed to be tamed. I have studied this my whole life. My job is not for the weak. A soul, you might know or not, a soul is most fragile when he is separated from the body. The rupture, they call it. It is a whole process that would take me ages to explain, one of the most complex processes in the universe, with an amplitude on both plans and dimensions. For reference, imagine the amount of energy this requires is 32 times greater than the one required when a star is created. At this point, I knew it. My friend Theo had finally lost it. I mean, it was expected. If you spend your life searching dead people's pockets, you go mad. I figured I'd let him speak, then assure him of whatever he wants to know and send him home. After all, he was my friend. My heart broke to see him like this. I had to help him in some way. Sometimes a soul does not separate instantly from the body. You know it. People die and then miraculously wake up. Resuscitation, clinical death, and so many other notions are part of this field. What they don't know is that the soul actually spends way more on Earth after the person dies. It remains tied to the body for a time, then finally leaves. And that is when it is the weakest. This period of transition, or the wandering as they call it, can take from hours to months, sometimes even years for the, tormented ones who know what is expecting them. He took a sip of his tea. Back in college, I had a rather dark period. I got into a lot of weird stuff, but I was smart. My friends perished, but not me. Here, his eyes sparkled. Was it pride? Some people sell their souls to demons to succeed. Not me. I sell others' souls. I raised my eyebrows. First of all, I had no idea he was into this in college. So you mean we'd go drinking to pubs and then he'd leave and take Satan shopping? Listen, Dan, I detect wandering souls using a few tricks. I visit said cemeteries, I catch them and sell them to them. Them. There's more. I'd rather not say names. Now let me speak. Since the body is dead, it cannot stop me, and I am extremely careful not to get haunted. I take all my precautions. They take the soul and give me what I want. Why do you need my help? I ask you again, can a body have 2 souls? Now wouldn't you know better, fucking soul seller? I know, but I still need your confirmation. No. Then it means something else was there. I took my head in my hands. This conversation had become tiring. What? See, I did my thing a few nights ago and I sensed something else with us. Usually I have me, them, and the soul, and I can't see either. I literally stand alone in the dark, holding my stuff and just murmuring like a lunatic. And the only signs I get are the movements of the thread in my hand, or something brushing off my shoulder. Sometimes I feel pressure in my temples. And that is when the soul is stubborn. That night, however, something else was there with us. I figured it wasn't human. It wasn't a demon either, because they don't intervene over each other's transactions. Then what the hell could it be? It was still as the night and old, and I could almost see it. His eyes had darkened, and I was afraid that he might look at me. I feared I could not stand his gaze. The tea had gone cold. The house had grown quieter and darker. Dan, I fear I have played too close to death, and I need you to help me. All these years, I was never once afraid. Throughout all the cemeteries and demons I dealt with, I knew I could reason with them. I had my art and my power, but now I stand on unstable ground. I don't know if it was the late hour, the tea, or the general story being dark. But the air was so still and so unfamiliar that even my tiniest movements seemed to bother. I suddenly got the urge to become small, to not disturb. What was I trying not to wake up? Dan, I need you to be my anchor. No fucking way, no fucking way. Whatever this guy wants, it's definitely not okay. And to be honest, crazy or not, if what he's saying is true, I don't want to be drawn into this. I can't, Theo, this is fucking crazy. I know. You cannot seriously ask me to do anything. I don't owe you anything. I need your help. No, in this matter, I can't help you. Dan, I'm gonna die. If you kick me out, it'll be your fault. What awaits me is sicker than death. Seek a priest. I can't. I need you. No. I sighed. Theo, no, whatever you need me to do, I won't do it. Get out. I was seriously disturbed. You'll change your mind. Leave me alone. Please. Theo, I'll call the fucking police. I want to go upstairs to my kids. He sighed. For fuck's sake, the more I looked at him, the more I felt the shadows in the window behind him were moving. After what seemed like hours, I finally got him to leave. It was well over midnight. I was shaking when I opened the door. The street was so empty and so dark, so still. This stillness I feared the most. He looked so fragile. You'll change your mind, Dan. Now, go to your kids. I closed the door, locked it, triple-checked, then turned off the light and ran upstairs like a fucking toddler scared of the dark. You ever heard of little kids coming to their parents' bedroom to sleep because they're afraid? Well, I, a grown man, slept in my kids' room that night. What scared me the most was the calmness of it all. I certainly don't want to get involved, but I fear he may come back again.